For the first time ever, the average new car price in the United States is approaching $50,000. According to Cox Automotive, the average listing price settled around $48,656 by late April in 2025. Meanwhile, Experian and LendingTree report that average monthly payments have reached $745 for new cars and $521 for used vehicles as of early 2025. Auto loan debt in the US has ballooned to roughly $1.64 trillion, making it the second largest category of consumer debt right behind mortgages. And that marked an increase of approximately 70% compared to just 10 years ago. Auto loan delinquencies have surged, with about 5% of borrowers now 90 days or more behind, the highest rate we've seen in years. Subprime borrowers are experiencing especially severe stress, with over 6.5% now at least 2 months late on payments. Before the pandemic, cars typically lost around 15 to 20% of their value during the first year, followed by roughly 10% each year after that. By year 5, most vehicles retained only about 40% of their original value. But 2020 flipped that script completely. Due to factory shutdowns, supply chain disruptions, and stimulus-driven demand, used car prices soared at an unprecedented 40% in 2021. Incredibly, some buyers found themselves selling their used vehicles for more than they initially paid. Dealerships also capitalized on this chaos, marking up new vehicles well above MSRP and adding on crazy additional fees. At the market's peak, the average new car was selling nearly 10% above sticker. Yet, unlike most pandemic-driven price hikes, cars never fully returned to normal. Today, the typical new vehicle still costs roughly $12,000 more than just a few years ago. That means that many American families are forced to spend 70 to 80% of their annual income just to afford one new car, almost double what families spent on average back in 1990. As prices surged, so did car loans. Today, around 85% of new vehicles and more than half of used vehicles are purchased using debt. To keep payments manageable, buyers are increasingly opting for loans that last 7 or even 8 years, significantly longer than the traditional 4 or 5-year loans that people used to get for cars. Although longer loans make monthly payments seem more affordable, buyers ultimately pay thousands more in interest, and they remain upside down in their loans far longer, usually for the whole term. Unlike mortgages, auto loans are lightly regulated. Income and employment verification for auto loans happen in fewer than 5% of cases. That loose lending standard contributes directly to rising delinquencies. Today, nearly 40% of borrowers owe more than their vehicle's worth, creating financial stress and fueling the delinquency wave that we're seeing right now. Dealerships have also transformed their business models. They've overhauled them. Over the past decade, they've increasingly made profits not from selling cars, but from the financing. And this means that dealerships now have a clear incentive to sell you the largest loan that absolutely can do, regardless of your eligibility to afford it in the long term. But another key trend is now reshaping the market. Rising inventory levels. After years of supply shortages, U.S. new vehicle inventory has returned to normal, averaging around 70 days worth of supply. Brands like Ford, Dodge, and Lincoln have especially high inventories, exceeding 100 days in many cases, suggesting that price cuts may soon become widespread. However, not all vehicles are affected equally. Popular brands like Toyota, Honda, and Subaru still see relatively strong demand, while luxury used models such as BMW 4 Series have actually appreciated due to continued scarcity. Conversely, Tesla prices have declined significantly, with certain models losing between 50 and 70% of their value within just 2 years. This sharp depreciation is partially due to rapid advancements in electric vehicle technology, causing buyers to hesitate on older EV models, along with brand-related controversies surrounding Elon Musk. Another factor is tariffs. Some proposals call for a 25% tariff on imported vehicle parts, potentially adding somewhere between $2,000 and $10,000 per vehicle, depending on its origin. Locally built cars rely heavily on imported components, so tariffs, they would drive prices up across the entire industry. The uncertainty surrounding these tariffs has caused automakers and consumers alike to accelerate their purchasing decisions, further distorting the market and pulling forward demand. Adding even more financial pressure, annual vehicle ownership costs, including insurance, fuel, maintenance, depreciation, interest, and fees, it now averages over $12,000 a year according to the AAA. Insurance alone has surged by over 55% since 2020, while maintenance costs are up around 31%. These rising expenses are significantly contributing to household budget stress, reinforcing cars' reputation as America's leading wealth killer. Credit quality in the auto loan market remains shaky. Reports from the Federal Reserve indicate that car loans across nearly all credit tiers, not just subprime, they're all experiencing increased delinquencies. And this includes those with good credit. The average American's Vantage score recently dipped about 1 full point, down to approximately 701, largely due to auto loan delinquencies and struggles. And this drop highlights just how pervasive this auto debt crisis has become, affecting even more consumers traditionally considered financially stable. Looking ahead, the outlook remains mixed. Used car prices could continue a gradual downward decline if inventories remain elevated and repossessions rise due to mounting loan defaults. However, tariffs represent a significant wild card, potentially reversing recent price stabilizations and pushing new car prices higher. And while some industry forecasts anticipate modest price decreases, a prolonged tariff environment could rapidly erase those gains, reigniting inflationary pressures. Another important issue often overlooked is the impact of higher car payments on younger buyers. Millennials and Gen Z, they're disproportionately affected as they tend to carry higher student loan debt, and they face rapidly increasing living costs and expenses. And this demographic often feels pressured into buying new or more expensive cars due to social media influence or peer pressure, which creates a cycle of perpetual debt from a young age. Experts worry that this generation's reliance on high-interest auto loans could prevent them from saving for future financial milestones, like buying a home or adequately funding their retirement accounts. Although EVs offer long-term fuel savings and maintenance costs, their initial upfront purchase price, it remains significantly higher compared to traditional ICE vehicles, gas or diesel. And current estimates suggest that the average new EV costs around $58,000, well above the average price for gasoline vehicles. Many consumers, eager to embrace new technology or reduce environmental impact, they stretch their budgets way too thin to buy an EV before they can do it, unknowingly increasing their financial risks. Additionally, charging infrastructure and battery replacements, they still pose hidden expenses that buyers often underestimate. Another ripple effect from skyrocketing car payments is increased consumer reliance on credit cards and personal loans to cover emergencies or basic living expenses. Higher monthly auto obligations force many households into dangerous cycles of debt consolidation or balance transfers, just kicking the can down the road. And this puts even more pressure on household budgets as borrowers juggle multiple high-interest financial products simultaneously, which increases their vulnerability during economic downturns like a recession. Simultaneously, public transit infrastructure and alternative transportation methods, they're not keeping pace with the rising car costs. Particularly outside major metro areas, public transportation options, they remain severely limited. We don't have bullet trains in the US. With fewer viable alternatives, many Americans feel compelled to continue financing expensive vehicles simply to commute to work, school, or essential activities. And this lack of transit infrastructure directly reinforces their dependencies on costly auto loans, exacerbating financial instability. And policymakers and economic experts are growing increasingly concerned that prolonged stress in the auto lending market could spill over into other parts of the economy. If defaults continue rising at their current pace, lending institutions may have to tighten credit broadly, potentially slowing economic growth, lowering consumer confidence, and affecting financial markets. Given auto debt's sheer scale, economists are closely watching delinquency rates as a potential early warning indicator for broader economic challenges. Another overlooked consequence of soaring auto payments is their impact on retirement savings. Financial planners note that many Americans are redirecting funds from retirement accounts like 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs to meet increasingly burdensome monthly car payments. Over the long term, missing these crucial early contributions can significantly reduce retirement balances, potentially forcing individuals to delay retirement by several years or live with less financial security during those golden years. Additionally, higher vehicle prices disproportionately impact rural communities, where owning a reliable car is often a non-negotiable due to the lack of public transportation or ride-sharing services. For millions of rural Americans, expensive vehicles and inflated auto loans, they're not a luxury, but a necessity for everyday life. And this reality puts rural residents at an even greater financial risk, deepening the economic divide between urban and rural households, and potentially widening socioeconomic gaps for decades to come. And this demographic is often overlooked in the auto industry. Look at the Tesla supercharging network. Tesla claims that you can use their network and you can drive anywhere you want to go. Look at somewhere like Wyoming or most of the Midwest. And if you go anywhere that's not a major city, you're not getting there with an EV. It's just not happening. And they're not going to be taking an Uber or a Lyft. It just doesn't exist there. There's no Lyft, there's no Uber, there's probably not a cab service, and there's certainly no robo-taxis or public transport for these people. So they need to have viable transportation. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below telling me what you think. Where do you think the car market's going? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.